Well, hello again. Welcome to part two. Um, let me open the screen up. Let me remind you, this is the second part of a presentation. And as I said in the first one, I hope it will be of interest and of value to students of law, politics, education, business, and faith, and especially for those who don't like studying at all. And this is thinking time. Just let me remind you of my life before I get going. I mean, really quite an amazing life. When I anticipated none of this. I'll let you read it. Last thing in the world I thought I'd do is to write a play and stage it in London. And the last thing I thought I'd do would be to write a book which lawyers would say that they would sue me for libel if I published it, but wouldn't read it and say what was untrue or not fair comment. Anyway, here we are. So I've left the bar and I've left the Liberal Party. And I go back to this. My father, as you see, has cancer. And I become a retail furnisher. And I think I'm doing the right thing. I owe a lot to this man and Barry Myers, the late Barry Myers, because you should listen to people when they tell you you've got it wrong, because they can be right and you can have got it wrong. I said, I'm the manager. They said, no, you're the owner. And that's when I learned how important professional management is to any enterprise. And the other thing I learned as the years rolled by was that those people who were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and street-wise with commitment, much better grounded than those who are book-wise and clever in the libraries of their own mind. Anyway, there it is. In 1976, we opened up there the Sunderland Sweet Centre and a few more sweet centres after that. And then it was actually in the Bath where I thought, well, too many people are opening sweet centres these days. We need something, a name that is special to ourselves. And that's when I came up with SCS, which is Sweet Centres. That's the origin of SCS. And that's the first branch of SCS. Now, this is the startling thing. You see, when I saw it in 1950, its turnover was about £48,000. And look at it today. Well, there's a lesson in this, if you care to think about it. And I do urge you to think about it. You see, Marxism is always about exploitation and dividing people up. Well, profit is oxygen. Profit is a measure of efficiency. That's what it is. But the state has to write the rules. That's the key. The right rules. And don't look for scapegoats here. 2006 building regulations should have banned tiles that had a polyethylene core. So I know something about this problem of flammability. And this is the key. Good lobbying helps. Bad lobbying makes mischief. And does Whitehall always make the right choice? And here they did. No comparison. You know that's true about public inquiries. All very dramatic, of course. But only the lawyers seem to win. But let me get back to SCS. I mean, in capitalism, that when it's handled right, everybody wins. It's a joint enterprise. Everybody wins. Because I put this to you, that Karl Marx never appreciated. To every action there is opposed an equal reaction. French Revolution and the terror terrified the Russian nobility. Then you had they terrified the Germans. And that and that. That's the 19th and 20th century for you. This is what I'm trying to say, that its power is the root of all evil, not money, except when money is power. "100 years were lost. In Eastern Europe, between this and this, this and this. Do read Darkness at Noon. This is really, in my view, what is of the essence. And this is what I learned from my days in retailing. These are the buzzwords that are important today. Commitment, number one. People should be committed, fully committed to what they're doing. Loyalty is forgotten, but it's important. Never be satisfied with where you are. And mutual respect. And I do ask whether they are buzzwords in the public sector. Well, age 60, I plan my retirement for a quiet life. And as I say, I didn't invest a single penny in the company after I left it. I didn't think that Rotary would threaten that quiet life I planned for myself, but it certainly did. This man, Fredwin Haynes, And this is why and how I became a political activist and author of Death of a Nightingale and a blogger. This school took me over. And this is what I learned there. You had to rank diversity above the pursuit of excellence, above the pursuit of equality. And certainly don't project for others what you want for yourself. I'm going to show you some pictures from that time. Just look at their eyes. The pans were in demand. The parents used to ferry them around every week. Steel drum band. And just look at this report. The older kids were role models for the younger ones. And there was precious little bullying. But there's my big but that I mentioned in the first presentation. But that was the national policy. This slide, I'd like you to remember it. It's not equality of opportunity to go to university that's the key. It's just opportunity, and it didn't have to be equal. Sorry to put it this way, but equality here is a mischief word. It doesn't add anything because the kids are not all equal. They're different. And what you need is fair play. That's what there was not. That was the plan. And there you see very simply in that graph the result. The consultants actually used to visit their patients in the school. I mean, that was hugely beneficial to absolutely everybody. Don't suppose it happens very much today anywhere else. These were big names in Sunderland. I was able to help here because an advertising agency provided all the material that you're going to see. There's a freebie. And I suggested that reasoned objections were more powerful than a petition. I think there were about 14,000. Quite a campaign, as you can see. And this was lobbying in London. And that little girl there, Ashley Ritchie, wow, she was very feisty when she was at school, helped the campaign, and she is feisty to this day. I'll come back to Ashley later on. Well, parents won the battle, and the school is there today. I'm leaving this little bit out. But I'll put this in. Because in my view, satisfaction is a very important part of life if you can get it. And I had a lot of satisfaction being associated with Barbara Priestman School. Those are the days when I used to enjoy that game a lot. But I'm afraid other parents lost the war because children with disabilities now all go to mainstream. I'm not suggesting that some of them, many of them should be in mainstream, but not all of them. And this is what Barbara Priestman School is today. I believe the hydrotherapy pool is redundant, but as I said, at least it's not a housing estate. And this, unfortunately, is a consequence of bullying, and is now cyberbullying as well. And the people who get bullied, unfortunately, are children with special needs. And these people, for all that, I mean, some of these non-teaching assistants, they're called amiable mums. Well, that perhaps does them a little injustice. But they're never going to be quite as good as specially trained teachers and carers. And so this is my little rant here. Don't live in the world of wouldn't it be nice if. Don't imagine all you have to do is to create a human right. Think of the cost, the consequences, the practicality. They didn't do that. And be a pro. Well, so that was in part one. This is what I urge you, if you are a planner or a politician, to factor into your plans human fallibility, including your own. And don't project for others what you want for yourself. So that's how I became an author. And it's quite a nice testimonial from Ian Glidewell. And notice this, once when I'd been a silk, he cautioned me against being too establishment-minded, and I took it to heart. But that really is what my two experiences have shown me, both in relation to special education and cycle lanes, that powerful lobbying by minority interests can distort the system. And once they're entrenched, they're very difficult to remove. Well, this is my message to the Labour Party, or to people who would love there to be a good Labour Party within the system. Your reason and passion are the rudder and sails of your seafaring soul. If either your sails or your rudder be broken, you can but toss and drift, or else be held at a standstill in mid-seas. For reason alone is a force confining, and passion, and this is the problem, passion unattended is a flame that burns to its own destruction. And that is the problem with the Labour Party today. Passion unattended is a flame that burns to its own destruction. And I like this too. And that's certainly me. This is the message which I would like to leave you with. Let your soul exalt your reason to the height of passion, that it may sing, and let it direct your passion with reason, that your passion may live through to its own daily resurrection, and like the phoenix rise above its own ashes. And so I urge you to think about the kids who don't go to university. I mean, they're being educated to fail. Like the kids in special schools, all they want is opportunity. And I have this serious question for Times Educational Supplement. Now, this is not just in Britain, but in America, thousands of children on Ritalin. Well, in my day, no one was. No one was diagnosed with it. Now, I really do wonder, when kids are being hyperactive and, lacking attention, well, simply they're being given the wrong food and throwing a tantrum. I'm sorry, but I think they should give out Ritalin with copies of the Times Ed. Anyway, another subject, which would be in my bonnet, if you like, Hornet, student debt. Again, that's where it's all wrong. Because when you've got a debt on your back, you have to do what you're told. Can't get rid of it. And it's vast amounts of money in student loans, both here and in the States. There should be many more scholarships and bursaries. And they encourage learning at school, especially if they're disadvantaged. But I want to move on. I said that what I was talking about was of interest to people who didn't enjoy studying. Well, it's amazing what a success you can make of your life, even if you don't go to university. Here's Ashley Ritchie today, set up her own website, Reachability. That's with her husband. She took her husband to city to learn how to dance from a wheelchair at her wedding day. Leslie Sheraton, who was trained by my mother. And in fact, my PA and the PA to my successors, now I think Assistant Company Secretary of SCS, longest serving employee of SCS. She's had a great ride. She told me recently that one of their members, one of their staff, had a 1-year course at the university to top up his skills. And I've no doubt that the company paid for it. That's the sort of role the universities should play in today's world. This lady here, she was a brilliant manager, didn't have time to go to university. And she had a great staff around her because she was a very, very good manager. There's Mike Brown today, and now enjoying his retirement. And his successor, David Knight, who was a manager in my days. I mustn't leave out my mother because she didn't go to university. She worked in her father's office and was able to carry forward her skills learned there. And she worked until she worked with the company and retired when I did at the age of 89. And I never had to worry about the books. But more importantly, the staff loved her and she loved the staff. During the war, she worked in the Citizens Vice Bureau in Sunderland, and I talked about Kindertransport in my first slide presentation. Well, these girls were part of the Kindertransport as well. They ultimately settled in Israel, and my mother helped make them welcome. And as I say here, treasured friendships, which is what life is about. And here's another person, again, a success in life on her own, without the need for a university education. And this picture I treasure. This was at the wedding of Ashley Ritchie, now Ashley Watt. And here was a teacher, Jane Fraser, who became head teacher of a special school in Gateshead, and Ros Mearns, who was an inspiring music teacher, and Trish George, the parent governor with 2 kids at the school. Well, I'll let you read this. I tell you something, lawyers and politicians just love to give us our rights. Rights. I call them buttercups and daisies. And we are those little white dandelion heads that blow away in the wind. There is a spiritual side. I said there was music in the play. Well, don't ignore the spiritual side of life. Whether you believe in God or not, it doesn't much matter in this sense. Because simply God, in many ways, is love that people of faith have in common. It's not what makes them different. It's what we all have in common, which is much more important than what makes us different. Not enough people remember the Alexandria Declaration of 2002. In the name of God is almighty and merciful. And again, the religious leaders from Muslim, Christian, and Jewish communities pray for true peace. According to our faith traditions, killing innocent in the name of God is a desecration of his holy name and defames religion in the world. Violence in the Holy Land is an evil. We seek to live together as neighbours, respecting the integrity of each other's historical and religious inheritance. We call upon all to oppose incitement, hatred, and misrepresentation of the other. Well, there you are. And I put a music lesson in Death of a Nightingale so that you could hear this by listening to the music. Listen to the voices of Ladysmith Black Mambazo. listen to Tibetan monks pray. Paul Robeson, Jewish cantor, Chazan, the holy choir, and the cello. You will sense the presence of God or something ethereal. And I like this. When you meet your friend on the roadside or in the marketplace, let your spirit in you move your lips and direct your tongue. Let the voice within your voice speak to the ear of his ear. I'm leaving you to do the reading here because just need to think around this. It's not the same curriculum for those who are going to, as the one you have for those who are going to university. It's a curriculum for life. I've just learned to cook. It's a great joy. And my DIY skills are scarce and very primitive. Put an asterisk to remind me to click on here. I haven't mentioned my wife, but that was a journey of discovery in its own right. Life is not rational. Well, that's not my commentary on our marriage, but it's a reflection of the fact that my wife learned psychology at university, but that isn't something Oxford gave to me. I left Oxford thinking the world was a rational place. It wasn't. It was a big mistake at the time. And this is what I commend to you. The real riches lie in your friends, especially your partner. And you see, these subjects, which are downgraded in many schools, but they are, the benefits last a lifetime. Games, well, Monopoly and Trivial Pursuits and all the rest of it could be good stuff. Yes, learn about human rights and modern history, not old history, but modern history. And poetry. I believe poetry has been struck out the national curriculum. I mean, it's monstrous. Drama, it doesn't have to be Shakespeare, long, but drama, some modern American drama. And conversational foreign languages, which would be very good in the hospitality industry and in the caring profession. Health and safety at school, including diet, head off obesity. Faith, understanding the world's religions. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have clicked on at this stage. But this, and then there's the Greta Thunberg stuff. I missed out on that one. Anyway, there we are. But this is the aspiration, to get 5 stars. Not the same as a degree, but if you're going for a job and you've got a 5-star award, it would help you on your way. What I'm saying here is not original. I Sir Ken Robinson sadly died last year, but I know that I echo a lot of the things he was saying, and I'm very happy to walk in his shoes here. This is some of the things he said. If you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything original. Education doesn't need to be reformed, it needs to be transformed. Creativity. And this word, education and training are the keys to the future. Key can be turned in two directions. Turn it one way and you lock resources away. Turn it the other way and you realize resources and give people back to themselves. Well, there you are, you have it. There's my life. It's been full of surprises, some good, some bad, and some extraordinarily fortunate. And essentially, my protest against zany ideologues, petty dictators, and their human shields. If you follow it up, there's my book and there's my website. And I leave you with this final thought. Because everybody needs a bit of luck in life, and well, you've got to say yes to life. But the key, future depends upon you. I hope you'll share this with others. Thank you for listening to me today. So again, thank you for listening, and I hope that I've said something which will be helpful to you in your lives, and good luck in these very difficult times that we're all living through today. My very best wishes to you all.